Good evening, and welcome to Bring It to the Marley, a show dedicated to all things dance, the place where dreams are imagined, lives are disrupted, and decisions are made. I'm your host, Dwana Smallwood. Today on Bring It to the Marley, we have Mathew Rushing. I sat down with him a while ago and had a wonderful conversation. Mathew became the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater's rehearsal director in 2010, where he made it his personal responsibility to tend to and care for the soul of the dancers. He's now making strides as the new Associate Artistic Director, a position he stepped into right before the world shut down. I sat down with Mathew some time ago when the world's Marley was so swiftly ripped right from under us. And boy, it was such a delight.
It feels strange. I feel a little separate from it right now, and only because I just entered into the position in 2020. Was my first U.S. tour as associate artistic director. So we started our tour in February, and March the pandemic hit. Separate from Ailey, me as a person, I feel like this pandemic has revealed a lot of things that I was trying or just unconsciously ignoring about myself. There's a lot of time for deep self like exploration and a lot of time to sit and think. And coming from Ailey, when you're constantly on tour, you're on and off trains and planes and buses and in and out of theaters, you can easily be distracted, and a lot of the deep internal things can just lay dormant, and you can just like kind of be obsessed with the dance. This at this point during the pandemic, the dance was taken away, and it was me and myself, and a lot of things that I'm still reckoning with. Um, and one, I started therapy. I suggested to everybody, I don't care how old, young you are, find a place where someone can help you process your thoughts and also teach you skills, and you can do it so that you can do it on your own. And one of the things that I'm processing is to appreciate myself, my self-worth, and also to really understand how to love others. So that's what's interesting. I thought I was a loving individual too, but I love underneath my own rules. If anything is expected outside of my own rules, then I become selfish. And what I'm learning is that love takes you outside of your own rules, and you're willing to let go of how you would like things to be set up and positioned and structured, and willing to throw that out the window just to make sure you show up for that other person. That's a gift. I learned that it's a gift to be able to be married and become one with another person. And it also takes another gift to be single, because one of the responsibilities I'm taking as a single black man is to make myself available. I have all that more room to mentor young people, to be there for my family, to dedicate my life to career and purpose. Because I'm not married, I have much more room for other people. Yeah, it's another thing in the pandemic. You're hitting a lot of good things. Another thing in the pandemic, I'm learning about friendship, and how even more I have to show up better in friendships. And the older you get, what's interesting, the longer you get in the old world, the longer your friendships are. For me, let me talk for myself. They get a little bit more complicated because you change as a person, you develop. So the two people who became friends at 18 and 19, you're two totally different people. So as you grow, you kind of have to come back in and kind of reestablish your friendship as you get older. So that's something, again, in this pandemic, I've fortified some friendships. Spiritually, I feel like I have become stronger. I've had to deal with a lot of questions. I feel this pandemic challenged me on my spirituality. Um, I think I fell short in a lot of places, and usually, again, I've learned to talk for myself. When I fall short, then I either question myself or I question my faith. And I felt bad for questioning my faith, but I found out the people who question their faith are the people who actually grow in their faith. And you can't be afraid to question your faith if you believe in God, whatever you believe in. If you don't ask the questions, you're not going to get the answers, and then there's no way you can move forward. So I'm embracing asking the questions and even doubting. I doubt because I care, and I want to know why I believe what I believe. So it's another thing I'm processing. As an outsider, I see, woo, Dwana, you got me. That was a good one. Okay, all right, okay, let me try it again. So I would say purpose. I feel there's a clear purpose. And in my faith, when something is anointed, it means that, or someone, and then I feel like we're all kind of purposed and anointed for a certain thing in our lives. When someone is anointed, they are covered, they are protected, and they are purposed for a thing. And that's part of their anointing, so I would feel like that's something that I would say that I see in my life from the outside. I know. Talk about therapy. This is like therapy. To be honest, no. Right at this very moment, I am not doing what I want to do. But I'm okay with that because I know this moment is going to get me to that place. That I have to have patience. I have to trust that these moments or these seasons of discomfort, seasons of confusion, chaos. Like I was thinking about this not too long ago. I was like, finally, okay, this idea of associate artistic director has been kind of like hanging in the air for years. A lot of people don't know that, and it finally manifests, and it's nothing like I expected. I'm in a pandemic. We're all in a pandemic. So it's nothing like I expected, but when I calmed myself during this whole self-exploration, you learn how to talk to yourself. When I said, well, Matthew, do you think this is don't you realize that this is for a reason? That whatever lessons that I'm learning, whatever struggles that I am enduring, it is preparation. I do feel that coming out of this pandemic, whatever direction that I'm going to go within the company as associate, this time would have prepared me, would have matured me, and given me the skill set that I need to enter into whatever season's next. And so when I realized that, I was like, well, okay, no, you're not doing what you would want to do, or even how you would want to do it, but you are in a place to be prepared to enter into that season, to be in a place where you're like, oh, this is where I want to be. I want to be more active in the dancers' lives. When I came into this position, one of the things that I had to do, I had to come up with what I thought would be my job description. And aside from that, I went deeper. I was kind of like, so this title is one level, and another level is purpose. So Matthew, at this moment, okay, you're associate artistic director. That's a title, but still, where does your purpose fit in all this? And I think there's something about me being here for this group of dancers. I kind of, in a sense, want to be like a shepherd for them. As a dancer, as a dance artist, there are a lot of things that are neglected. You are not, normally you are not groomed to handle your own business. You are not groomed in finances. There's a lot of things that are expected. Sometimes you're treated like children. And so when you leave this organization, this gig, this Broadway show, you kind of left dangling in the midst. And so as these dancers are in this company and we are connected, I want to do all that I can do to empower them, to give them the skill set as much as possible, because I'm still growing, give them the skill set to thrive within the company and without or outside of the company. So my focus is the dancers right now. So that's what I'm focused on. During this pandemic, I have taken some classes and I danced. There was a moment where the Ailey company did like a virtual season, and so I collaborated with one current dancer and one former dancer, Usha Marie Sorzano, and current dancer Clifton Brown. And so I had to get into the studio to choreograph, but I'm gonna be honest, even that, I remember thinking about that, it wasn't the same. Seeing the dancers in the boxes with the mask, me being in a mask, me gagging, running out of air. I'm not 12 anymore. All that got into the way of what I know to be sacred. What I know touching. There are some moments that are, well, not some, a lot of moments. I see the studio as being a sacred place, and I see the stage being even more of a sacred place. So the mask and the tape and all the COVID protocols and the testing and the anxiety, it made the dance space really different, and I can't say I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward for things, changing, and if that's all we had at the moment, I feel like it was our duty to do what we could at the moment. So I was happy about that, but I haven't really danced except for those moments going back, like when you're little, you turn on the music and you just dance in your house. I've had a whole bunch of those moments. So that I'm happy about. But as far as being on stage, I was thinking about this. I was like, Mathew, it doesn't feel like it's totally out of your system, but what does that mean? Because when things open up, your focus is the dancers, and at this time, there's not enough hours in a day for you to be there for the dancers and be associate, take care of your body, and somehow be a dancer. So I'm leaving it out there. I know I'm not finished. So I am looking for opportunities when they present themselves. But like I said, now at this point in my life, I have a priority, and the dancers are a priority. We have so much to say at this point. And I was like, there has to be some kind of a platform for dancers who I call seasoned dancers, that we're not finished, we have a lot to say, and even though it would take work to get us there, we still have it in us physically. And I feel not only do we need that opportunity, young people need to see it, realize about the dance. That was the very thing that made me commit my life to it, was knowing that the Marley, the stage was, when I was young, I didn't use the word sacred. I just knew I was my complete self on the stage. When I came off, and sometimes even in the studio, I was so shy, and I was just a very extremely shy young person. In the studio, say when I first got into Ailey 2, I would be in the studio shy, learning the steps, shy, taking class, shy, but you turn on that music and it's time for me to dance. I literally felt possessed sometimes. And there were moments where I made decisions and I made choices to express myself and I felt comfortable, and then there were moments it felt like choices were made for me through the dance. And when I experienced that being a vessel and things happening through you, there's no feeling to describe it or to compare it to. It feels supernatural. And I think that's why a lot of artists are so addicted to the feeling and they commit their lives to it and they can't just drop it afterwards. So I knew that early on, and then the awareness and the respect and honor for it grew as my experiences grew. Traveling around the world, dancing works by Mr. Ailey or other iconic choreographers, and having those transformative moments where literally all the things that are bothering you are they're separated, they're gone for a moment, or where you know something incredible is happening through you and helping someone else. You had to be a steward of the gift. So I knew it early on. My greatest lesson in the midst of all the awesome experiences I've had, my greatest lesson would be knowing that it could leave at any moment. There was a moment where I was dancing a work called Pas de Duke, choreographed by Mr. Ailey. It was a duet that was choreographed for Judith Jamison and Mikhail Baryshnikov, and I remember dancing it when it first came back into the repertory, and I was kind of like at my peak, and I was at one point I was just having fun. Like, it was a challenge, it was a technical challenge, but because it was Mr. Ailey's work, there was so much room for who you were as a person. It was classical, but it was black, it was jazzy, it was just all the things that I loved. And I had fun for a certain amount of years, and then I was getting older. And then as I got older, and it left the rep, and it got to a point where I came back into it, and things were different. My body was different, my technical ability was different. Turns weren't as easy, jumps weren't as explosive, and I found myself still having to do repeat. And all I could do is remember the feeling of ease and comfort and fun, and comparing that to where I was now, where it wasn't so much fun, it wasn't comfortable. And I didn't, before I didn't have to think twice about doing pirouettes. Now I'm taking class, I'm putting on my stage makeup, and I'm going back and taking class again to make sure that I'm up on my legs, and then I go out there and I go to do things and things don't happen. That was a huge thing. And to be humbled in a sense, when a dance artist is at their, they mess up, they fall, they do these things that they're not used to, they do it in front of thousands of people. And there's no feeling to describe how humiliating it is to go out there and not be your best, and then not be your best consistently. So it's not like it's just a bad performance, that performance after performance, things are kind of leaving, then they come back for a performance, then they leave. So that inconsistency, it sat me down and it said, look, things are changing. Don't take this for granted. South Africa. The first time we went into the different townships, and I think I went to Pretoria. And we got to the township, and it was like a community center. And I don't remember exactly what time the master class was supposed to start, say 12. 12:30, the group hadn't got there. And we were like, well, what's going on? This is kind of weird. And around 12:35, we see them from a distance, large group, walking. And when they got closer, no shoes. None had shoes. And they were walking, and then whoever was with them, they said, I'm sorry, we walked from the next township. And I was like, well, how long? It's like over an hour. And I said, excuse me. And I just went to the other side, and I just broke. Because I was kind of like, oh, where are they? What's going on? They're not taking advantage of the opportunity. And then they started to dance. And it was like these young people, we were teaching them wade in the water. I will never forget it. And I had been dancing wade in the water. And they performed that as if they had lived it. And they were, and it wasn't just how they moved, it was the spirit that they were moving from, was so much more advanced and mature than mine, and they were probably half my age. And I was like in awe. And I can't even articulate what it taught me, but it humbled me, how I was blown away by someone that was probably half my age. And I think I'll never forget that moment. My mother was there from the beginning. My mother was there at every step. She just sent me like 2 packages of all the clippings that she saved. She sent me my first itinerary with the Ailey Company. Like, she kept everything. My playbills that I would send. She photocopied postcards that I would send from her. And so letters, there's a couple of letters that I wrote to Mr. Ailey and I gave to her and she kept for me. And so it was so cool because during this pandemic, it's, you kind of go back and it's like really retrospective. And I just went through the whole care package. It was just kind of like reminiscing and seeing all the places I've gone and things that I felt. But she's always been there. She's been my favorite, my biggest cheerleader, and still is to this day. Yeah.
Although much too short, this was very engaging conversation and extremely enlightening. As dancers, we don't often get to express ourselves verbally. So I want to thank Mathew for being so brave and successfully sharing a snippet of his story honestly with me. He's been a beacon of grace and light for me, and I am forever grateful for having had the opportunity to chat with him. Thank you for watching. Until we meet again, have a fabtabulous evening, and let's keep dancing.